Welcome to Old Grump's Garage. Hey y'all, Alan, Old Grump's Garage. You've probably seen the video where I bought a GTO. I did. We've pulled the LS2 and the T56 transmission. We pulled the ECM. We found the GTO a new home, and it's gone to North Georgia. All I have left is a mess on the floor. So we're going to get started on getting things ready to put that into that. So we're going to have to, one of the things we're going to have to do is move the shifter to the forward position, because where it's at right now, we'll put that shifter about the middle of the bench seat, which is not going to work. So we've got a kit ordered to move it up to this forward position. That'll get it where it needs to be. And we're going to get the motor mounts from Panza modified to fit in the lower installation height. Since this is a car oil pan, we can put it in the lower position. So
let's get to it.
According to the instructions from Panza, if we want to use these lower mounts, lower bolt holes for the lower position, we just got to zip that right off there and remove that. Seems simple enough.
Eventually.
All right, so you can see we cut off that second set of ears off of the motor mounts, gave them a little paint. We're going to zip them back on the engine. All righty, engine mounts. Alrighty, y'all. I apologize for the background noise, but it's awfully hot, so both the fans are running, so we're just going to have to deal with that. Hopefully the mic audio is good enough that you can hear me over the fans. So what we're working on now is we have to move the shifter from here to this location, because where it's at right now, where it was in the GTO, would put it right smack in the middle of the bench seat of the truck. So we bought a kit from Silver Sport Transmissions, the T56 transmission front shift kit with rails, and we're going to be moving the shifter here. So first thing we need to do is remove the shifter from its current position. And for those playing from home, I've never done this procedure before, so you get to learn while I do. How about that? Awesome! Awesome sauce! And I see that this shifter is missing bolts in the shifter cover, and I guess that explains why it's been leaking down the front of the transmission, making a mess. Remember, kids, if it has a bolt, the bolt should be in place for a reason. Well, that's cool. That's a screw there and an Allen. What the heck is going on here? That's an Allen there of some sort, or hex, and this is a screw. Somebody's been in here, and there's 2 out of 4 screws in here, so no wonder it's been leaking around the shifter. Gracious, kids, gracious. Alrighty, now back to our regular schedule program. Boy, there's a lot of crud in that shifter. That one's loose. I'm not even going to ask. Not even going to ask. I'm guessing I'm right in the camera's way, so I'm going to move you over to this angle. So maybe I don't have my back to you and keeping you from seeing what's going on. Alrighty, whole shifter is removed. Give me a skunky around the top and on the bottom. Yay. Per the instructions, remove it, and the shifter and bolts can be discarded. Well, your definition of discarding of mine may differ slightly. I'm not going to reuse it, but we will hold on to it for later. Drive the 3/16 roll pin through the bottom of the gear, rear offset lever, and remove the lever. All right, so where's my drift punch? Of course, if my fans weren't making enough noise, the neighbors have decided this would be a good time to run all their blowers, because that's what we do, right? Oh, okay, smaller punch. Sorry about that. Hope I didn't hit you with it. Almost. And there we go. So, there is the rear offset lever, and it's been removed. Retain that for reassembly for the rear lockout procedure. Remove 4 bolts from the front access plate and pry it off and discard. Okay. And let's see what size that is. I guess 12, and I'd be wrong. Try 13. Hey, close. Horseshoes and hand grenades. Front access plate has been removed. And drive the 3/16 roll pin through the front offset lever. Until it rotates freely on the shaft. I don't know if you can see this or not. So we're removing the pin in this next. So it rotates freely. I think we got it. Next step. Disassemble the transmission and remove the top shift rail. According to the factory TCC manual, which says to do this in a vertical fashion. So, I'm gonna guess 15. Anybody want to guess? Hey, got it right the first time. Yeah. Whee! Somebody meant that not to leak, huh? Yeah. And Miss Allison comes to check on us. Ugh. Yeah. The louder the groan, the more leverage you get. And if I hadn't told you lately, leverage is how the ancient Egyptians built the pyramids. Leverage. Yeah. Well, it might have been leaking around the shifter, but it wasn't leaking around the transmission case, I can tell you that. Alrighty. Well, who's your buddy, who's your friend? Battery operated ratchet, that too. Want to remember where certain tags and standoffs are? Take a picture while you're disassembling. It'll come in handy later. Okay.
There we go.
At least the transmission fluid's nice and pretty red, so that's a good sign. And I'm gonna give the case a soft place to land. All right. Next step, remove top shift rail. All right, so there's two kits for putting this in. One, you cut the shaft off and then modify the piece you cut off and put it back in. The kit I bought has a new shaft to go in the case, a new shaft to go in the tail, but then you have to take all the gearing apart in the transmission and everything else to get this part of the shaft out. So I elected not to do that. I elected to cut it. I'll put the new shaft in the back side and we'll modify the front shaft like they do in the kit that doesn't have the new rails. Now that I've got it removed, this is your detent spring and ball, and there's the drift pin we drilled out. You need to retain those, so we will. Now we need to get all those metal shavings out of there. That's just why I like magnets. Alrighty. Okay, I've set the new rail in. I've made sure that the ends of the shaft clear the new shift rail. Okay, rail is in. And now we got in the rear rail. And we pin him in. And then see if we can slide all this back on where it belongs. Next step on the instructions. Apply a bead of gasket sealant around the front shifter opening and lightly lubricate shifter ball and install the shifter into transcommission. Yes. Okay. And we're supposed to use, and flip it back to instructions. 4 longer bolts included. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you can't drop it in the floor, it ain't worth doing, I say. Okay, gasket makers squirting out on all sides. I'd say we got it applied properly. How many foot-pounds should you tighten this to? Oh, about 1 ugga-dugga. Yep, that'll be good. Ta-da! Alrighty. And finally, install the rear cover plate. And they provide 2 so you can figure out which one's the right one and you have spare metal left over. All right, what's left to do? Refill the transmission with transmission fluid, and the transmission is done.